Welcome to Option Trades today. I'm Tony the Baptiste, and I have a trade idea for you today, right here from downtown Chicago, right here in the Batcave. It's July 11th, 2024. But first, as we always do, let's see what the market's doing. Even the S&P is down 33.75. You can see them right off of their lows. Haven't been able to say that for quite some time. Look at this move in the market taking a little bit of a breather today, but it's a tale of two tapes with the NASDAQ down 300 and change. NASDAQ down almost 2 or 3 times as much as the E-mini S&Ps. The NASDAQ is the weakest of the group today. Haven't said that in a long time. The Russell's actually up $70. Doesn't sound like a lot when you just heard the E-mini S&P down 35 and the NASDAQ down 300. But in reality, that's up 3.5%, just 3.33%, as you can see on the screen here. But that's a 2 times or more move than the NASDAQ is lower, and you can see that by that big bar here on the Russell. Huge move to the upside in the Russell, and a, small move in the Dow, up 70. A lot of healthcare stocks helping the Dow. Rotation in the market? I don't think so. I think it's more the Russell, the NASDAQ catching up to the E-mini S&Ps and the NASDAQ, because as you can see, volatility for the first time is unchanged this morning, not even up yet, even though you have that big move down the NASDAQ, which has been the market leader. So keep your eye on volatility these days to see if this rally is going to continue in the market. That means volatility should stay, up only a couple of pennies to down. And if volatility starts to rally large, well, maybe we get a little extended move to the downside in the other two indices like the Russell and the Dow. Bonds up 111. Looks like rate cuts are on the board. Maybe 2, maybe 3 rate cuts. But that can change as the bonds change. I'm a firm believer that the Fed is not the movement in the market of interest rates, but the market is the movement of the interest rates in the market. And if bonds go higher, interest rates will go lower. And if bonds go lower, interest rates will stay the same or go higher. It's all dependent on what the yield curve does. That's between the 2s, the 10s, and what I have up there, the 30-year. All right, as I always do, let's take a look at a watch list here. I'm going to go a high option volume list. I'm going to get rid of my earnings. So all I did here was get rid of all of the earnings that would be on the right-hand side here, just to save you some Googling around. I'll go to Baidu, BIDU. It will be highlighted on the screen here as soon as I find it. Let's look down here. Sorry, I thought it would be at the higher end of its rate. Oh, I forgot. It's all the way, as I said, going past this earnings. Earnings are after August expiration, so you'll see it right down here. But you'll notice that the IV rank of 56 is quite high, with earnings coming after expiration. Expiration for August is August 16th. And you'll notice here that the earnings are on the 27th. Look at the IVX 5-day change, up 9%. Now, let's take a look at something here. It's up 9%. Let's try to find out why. Wow, look at this. Baidu has gone from 86 or 85 all the way up to 100 and change. It's 101 right now, off of its high of almost 105. So you can see here that as Baidu goes lower, the volatility goes lower, the opposite of what you would see in an ETF. And as Baidu goes higher, volatility goes higher. So I'm going to put on a trade because I think this move's a little bit exaggerated. You can see here the old highs, recent highs are around 110. The old lows are around 85. That puts me right in the middle of its most recent move, at least for me, the way that I look at it. I'm going to look at this trade, and I'm going to try to put on a trade not with any short delta, but a little bit of long delta. But let me explain. I'm going to sell the 95 puts, which have a 28 delta, and I'm going to go up to the 115s that have a 23 delta. Now, with $5 wide strikes, you really are limited by the amount of by what strikes you can pick. I can go down to the 110s and have 3.5 short deltas. I can go up to the 115s and have 5 deltas. I could have gone down to the 90 puts and made it short delta that way, but I'm only collecting $1-ish in premium. And by the way, the markets in Baidu are not that great. I got filled at $4.34. I believe with the stock not too far off from here. We'll look on the follow page in just a second. First, I want to get to finish my thought that I had here. Why am I leaning with a little bit of long delta in Baidu? I'm not bullish on Baidu. You know me. If a stock's made a move like this, I'm more inclined to be short than long. But let me explain to you why I'm going to lean a little bit of long delta in here. If volatility goes higher, that means Baidu's going to go higher. So I want to have at least a day or two of movement in Baidu to the upside with volatility expanding to try to protect that move higher. If Baidu goes lower, volatility is going to go lower, and these puts are going to gain as much premium as they would if volatility was going higher. So really what I'm trying to do here is playing a little bit of an advanced kind of move. The same way we would lean a little bit short delta in SPY, because as SPY goes lower, volatility would expand. Just the opposite was going on here. I'm doing the same kind of logic here. My break-evens on this stock, well, I'm going to round and just say it's around 99. It's just under 99, 98, 75 for lack of better words. And to the upside, it's 115 plus the $4.34 that I collected here. It's a 66 pop. You know, I like to be outside that standard deviation. We are outside the standard deviation to the upside. We are just inside that standard deviation to the downside. But as you can see, we're almost covering all the lows in Baidu, recent lows, and we're almost covering all the recent highs in Baidu, and volatility has expanded. I got filled at $4.34, so I'm getting almost $12.50 in theta decay. Buying power is large at $9,000 on this trade, so it is not for those who don't have that kind of capital in their account. If you wanted to put on this trade and use less buying power, you could simply buy the 75 puts on the downside and then go to another call that would, as you can see here, there's call skew that would use a little bit less buying power on the overall trade. You know, you could even go up, and markets get a little bit wide here, so be careful. Maybe even put in a single order if you wanted to. I'll put it at 150 here, but here you're using more like the $3,000 in buying power. Of course, you are going to reduce the amount of credit that you received for the amount of buying power you're using, but I think it's a small price to pay for being able to put on the trade, or any trade. Doesn't have to be this trade. Any trade that you want to do, there's always a way to kind of buy the wings to reduce the amount of buying power you're using. If you are fortunate enough, and I do mean fortunate enough, to have the Tasty Trade platform, and you are watching the follow page, you can always go to Bob the Trader. That's me. That's my smiling face, but not my name, because I am not worthy. You'll notice I put this trade on earlier this morning at 10:02, immediately following the show. The stock was trading at 101.23. It's 101.10 right now. I was able to get filled at 434. I would imagine you'll be able to get filled at 434 with the stock right here, too. As a matter of fact, there's a little bit of long delta to it. If the stock goes lower, well, this is the effect of volatility going lower, too. But anyway, if the stock goes a little bit lower, maybe you'll get filled at $4.34. I would not look to be aggressive with my pricing here, meaning keep trying to chase it down. As you can see here in Baidu, sometimes these markets get 10, 15 cents wide. They do tighten up from time to time as the stock kind of stabilizes a little bit, so don't push it. All right, I know there's a lot in there, and there's always a lot that we give you here at Tasty Live, but I need you to do just a little thing for me. Please move, transfer, bring your account to Tasty Trade. Help us keep the lights on here. You benefit from all the free content that we have, the best customer service. You know, it's not always about just making a trade. It's about when, you know, the stuff hits the fan. Can you reach somebody? Can you contact somebody? You can always contact Tom at tastylive.com. You can always contact me, Bat at tastylive.com. You can always look for me on YouTube. And even if you're watching this on YouTube, I try to answer all the questions that you give me to the best of my ability. And you know what? When you make a trade and you belong to Tasty Trade, you call up the trade desk, you talk to people who've been there before, and they're always happy and smiling, just like Tom.